All right. Tariffs, deportations, and layoffs. Oh my. All right. Before we get into this one, as always, I'd like to ask you to go ahead and hit that like button if you find my content valuable. Also, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. All right, let's go ahead and get into this one. Tariffs, layoffs, and deportations. Oh my. If you ever watched The Wizard of Oz, you know that part where they talk about lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my. And it's kind of the scene where they meet the cowardly lion and Dorothy, and it's the Tin Man, and I'm trying to think of who else she's with. She's with the Scarecrow and the Tin Man. And they're kind of walking down the Yellow Brick Road and saying, lions, tigers, and bears, oh my. Well, now we're looking at tariffs, layoffs, and deportations, oh my. And let's start with the tariffs rather. But stick to the end of the video because I'm going to give a little bonus that's happening today that's also a challenge that we're having right now with the economy. Let's start with tariffs, okay? If you don't know anything about tariffs and how tariffs work, tariffs end up being a tax on you and on me. That's the way tariffs really work, okay? No matter what's been said, no matter how you might think that they work, here's how they actually work. Let's say that there's a product that a company needs. What happens is that company orders that product. Let's say it's from China, okay? A ship comes in and delivers that here in the United States. And what happens is, whatever that business is that's ordering that product from China actually pays the tariffs. This is how it works. It's just how it works. That company pays that tariff, okay? Now, what do you think that company is going to do when you actually go to the store and get that product up off of this shelf? I can tell you right now, most likely they're not going to swallow the cost of that tariff because they've got to pay that when the ship comes in. Most likely they're going to adjust the price. How do I know that? Because I've actually been looking on YouTube, and there are YouTubers that take these TikTok clips and they actually talk about them. And one of the things that I've seen kind of frequently on YouTube is creators actually taking these clips from TikTok of folks that get on and they're talking about at retailers, specifically Walmart, pulling off the price that was on the tags when the clothing came in on the ship, and they're changing that at Walmart. They're changing the price up, and they're pulling off that tag that may have said, let's say it's a shirt that's $9.99. Now that shirt is more. Let's say it's $15.99. Well, they take off that tag that said $9.99, and now up on the sign on the shelf, it's saying the new price, that $15.99 or whatever it is. That's just a hypothetical example there. But this is what's happening. The retailer is passing along that price of the higher tariff to you and me. That's the way tariffs work. They send the price upward, okay, for you and me, ultimately, because that retailer has to, or that buyer has to pay that price. And then when they get it on their shelves for retail, they're passing that price along to you and me, okay? So that's tariffs, okay? Let's move to layoffs, okay? Layoffs have been in the news and everywhere. I've been looking at some videos online of layoffs at UPS, layoffs at FedEx, and there's layoffs with all different companies out there. And you might say, hey, I've still got my job. What do I need to worry about layoffs at another company? Well, I've talked about this in other videos, but there is a domino effect. Think about this. Let's just take the package delivery sector, okay? And let's use UPS as an example. UPS has laid off a lot of its drivers, or in the process of laying off drivers, okay? And these drivers are being given a package. I don't know exactly what it is, but a package to actually leave a certain amount of money to go ahead and leave the job. But these are high-paying hourly jobs, these drivers for UPS. I've even heard that drivers at UPS making six figures. What does that represent? That person bringing in that income. It represents somebody who bought a house. It represents somebody who maybe bought a car. Now, I often caution, don't buy new cars, but Americans seem to be doing that left and right. So you have these UPS drivers who I'm sure have purchased cars, furniture for their homes. They probably go out to eat at local restaurants. They go to local retailers to buy clothing and things like that. They're having children, so maybe they're buying strollers and they're buying different things out there in the economy. So they're participating in the economy on a high level because they have a high-paying hourly job. So you might say, I'm not a UPS driver. I don't know anyone in my family who's a UPS driver, but it doesn't really matter because they're pulling back from the economy and not spending the money that they would normally spend out there in the economy ultimately will affect you and me. How? Because their dollars are not infused in the economy, which again causes that domino effect down further when they're not purchasing that car, when they're not going and getting homes. They aren't going to shop at stores as much. Like me, I work at a grocery store as a middle manager. It means that maybe they're not purchasing as much food as they normally would purchase. They're tightening their belt, so to speak. And so it has that domino effect within the economy, okay? So those are layoffs. Now let's look at the deportations, okay? Because you might be in a camp where you're like, I don't care about the deportations, you know? Or, yeah, deport everybody. I think it's long overdue that needs to be done. You might be of that mentality. But think about what these folks are doing. They're picking our vegetables. They're working in our hospitality industry, in the hotels, and so on. And when these workers either are deported, so they're not showing up, or they're scared and they're kind of going into hiding, that means that the farmers, that means that these hotel owners and things like that have part of their workforce that's not showing up and not working. So we have vegetables out there that are just rotting out there in the fields and different things happening, and it affects these owners, these farmers, and these owners of these different businesses and even restaurants that immigrants may work at. And so some of these businesses fail. Some of these businesses are not thriving like they used to, okay? And the owners and that of these businesses, again, are people that participate in the economy. Also, the immigrants working there are also participating in the economy, buying things that they need and so on, are no longer infused in the economy. And it's this domino effect that eventually affects you and me, because that revenue is not moving in the economy and even supporting the jobs and things that we do on a daily basis. There's a lot of pain coming. I believe that there is a storm on the horizon caused by all of these things. It's a compounding effect that's happening right now. So what does that mean for you? It means that you have to prepare yourself. You have to be ready for what is coming. You can't be an ostrich with your head in the sand. I've said before, and I'll say it now, if you were to twist my arm and tell me, you have to tell me where the economy is going right now, I would tell you, we're headed towards a recession. I believe that that's where we're headed. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that my assessment doesn't come to pass. But I think that that's where we're headed. So you need to be ready, and you need to do some things to get yourself in a position to where these things don't affect you in a deep way. I told you that I was going to give you a bonus on this video of something that's happening today. Something that's happening today is that students who are on the SAVE program that the previous administration put into place now are going to have the interest on those student loans accumulating starting today. This is a huge deal. And also, repayment is coming for a lot of student loans when it's been on hold for a lot of people. This is a big deal. Also, I read about student loans that these forgiveness programs are backlogged to where they're actually looking at them and seeing if these students qualify. But it's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people who are backlogged. These people who have followed the plan and gone through their public service student loan for forgiveness. They've worked there 10 years, but it's backlogged. They're not getting their forgiveness. And here's the kicker. There's a possibility that they may never get forgiveness if things change. If the current administration, for whatever reason, doesn't honor what they've done and the rules change. This is a big deal in the economy. There are a large amount of students who are getting hit with this, and some of them aren't prepared to pay. Their credit is going to be ruined, and they just may not be able to pay. You're looking at possible bankruptcies in the future. Total ruining of their financial situation. Again, more people who are unable to participate in the economy that has that domino effect and may even visit you and me as far as them being unable to participate in the economy. So again, it's another thing to where you need to be sober in your thinking about being prepared for what's coming next. So what do? You do what I've been talking about in a lot of these videos. Make sure you have a starter emergency fund. I've recommended $2,000. Make sure that you're taking advantage of building wealth for your future if you have a company match at your work. Then I would pivot directly to getting rid of all consumer debt as much as you can. Things like credit cards, you've got to get rid of those now, particularly if what I'm telling you as far as the different things happening in the economy possibly moving us towards recession and more difficulty in terms of higher prices for everything. You know, I even look at utility bills. My utility bill has gone up. Many people are sharing online how their utilities are going up, like electricity. So these things are hitting you. It's going to hit your budget, and you need to get ready. So like I said, take advantage of a company match and then pivot to getting rid of credit cards. Pivot to getting rid of, if you have furniture payments, or God forbid you got into one of these tote-they-note situation where you're putting up your car, these payday loans and things like that. Get rid of those kinds of debts. And then you can pivot and look at having that 3 to 6 month emergency fund. And if a recession is coming, you may even lean toward 9 to 12 months of emergency savings set aside so that you can respond to anything that may happen in the future, whether it's a layoff or any other financial challenge that may require more resources for you to take care of it. This is important. Think through these things. Make sure that you're prepared for what is coming. I just felt like I needed to come, talk about these subjects, and reiterate the importance of setting your financial future up to where you can respond to what's coming next. If you find this content valuable, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Thanks for listening.